Hello, happy Monday. Meteorologist Sydney Goldberg here from the First Alert Desk, and it was a really nice weekend. We really enjoyed that lower humidity, made for some really nice mornings. We still have some lower humidity in place, so it's another nice morning. Here's a live look outside in our Sky 9 camera. This is overlooking the Mississippi River. We have some blue skies, but we also have a little bit of cloud cover to start this morning as well. It is another warm day, mid-80s here in Baton Rouge, 85 degrees at the Baton Rouge Airport, 85 in Hammond as well, Bogalusa 87, 83 in Macomb. But with the lower humidity, it's making for a better feel this morning. It'll still get hot through the afternoon, but if you look at our dew points, upper 60s, not terrible. So that's measuring our atmospheric humidity, and upper 60s is making for somewhat of a nicer feel. But we're starting to see that humidity return. You can see that just 24 hours ago, so yesterday morning at this time, dew points were lower. So we're starting to see that humidity starting to climb beginning today, and that's going to continue throughout the work week. Today is going to be another hot day. We'll get into the low 90s for our afternoon high. Lots of sunshine though, with a few passing clouds here and there. But once we get into the evening, similar to the weekend, because of the lower humidity, once the temperatures start to drop closer to sunset, it actually feels pretty nice through the evening hours. Don't have to worry about any rain. We've got a nice dry day ahead. But here's what I was talking about. Here's the muggy meter. You can see the climb of the dew points. We're already seeing the upper 60s today. That's going to continue to climb right on through mid in the later part of the week. So the heat's going to continue, and that nice dry feel is no longer going to be with us. But we like this trend. Look at this temperature trend. Slowly stepping down each day heading into the middle and into the work week, temperatures dropping back into the 80s. That's what we like to see. Our average temperature for this time of year is the upper 80s. So still running a touch above average by the end of the work week into the weekend, but much better than the low 90s for this time by the end of September. So here's why. We got the heat, and then we have a change coming by the end of the work week. That has to do with the pattern in the upper levels. So we're starting to see an upper level ridge building in for the first part of the week. That's why we're keeping the low 90s in place as well as the heat. Watch this. We have a really unique upper air pattern that's going to happen by the middle and later part of the work week. So here's Tuesday. Watch this upper level low squeeze in between these two areas of high pressure. It's what we call a Rex block. By the end of the work week though, an upper level low starts to form over to our east. That's what's going to help with the cool down as well as bring back some of those rain chances by the end of the work week. Now it's not a whole lot, just a slim rain chance by the end of the work week, 20 to 10% all the way through the weekend, but we stay dry for the first part of the work week. So we don't have to worry about any rain until the end of the work week, and it's not a lot, just 10 to 20%. And in terms of rain totals, not much. Less than a quarter of an inch for most places in our viewing area, so inland. But look at this unique situation. We go from less than a quarter of an inch to offshore, close to 5 inches or even higher. So this is a really tight gradient in terms of rain amounts through the next week. And that has to do with that upper level low helping to develop a front that should move through. Now it's a weak front, but it's going to stall along the coast, and that's really going to help with the rain chances offshore and closer to the coast. So we've got a mainly quiet work week ahead. What's not quiet is the tropics. We have two systems that we're tracking, both of which are going to be hurricanes at some point at the same time. So first we have Hurricane Umberto, that's to the right of me. This is Tropical Storm Imelda. First, let's talk about Umberto. Category 4, it was briefly a Category 5 over the weekend, still a major hurricane as of this morning, and it's really not expected to weaken all that much until it takes that right turn around Bermuda, so impacts are expected. Tropical storm force winds could see that as early as Tuesday for Bermuda. Then it'll take that turn around it and go right back out into the Atlantic and weaken significantly from there, but until then, it's still expected to remain a major hurricane. Really good news with this one though, Tropical Storm Imelda. Now it is expected to continue to strengthen, so it should reach hurricane strength here shortly. This morning though, winds are sustained at 60 miles an hour. Now the yellow here, that's tropical storm warnings in place for the northern Bahamas as well as offshore for the eastern coast of Florida. So the change here from the weekend is that it was expected to move a little bit northward. Now, because of the positioning of Umberto, it's going to get dragged sharply to the east out into the Atlantic. This is a really good trend in the forecast, especially for our friends at the East Coast, including the Carolinas. So it is expected to strengthen into a hurricane and it will remain a hurricane as it moves over near Bermuda again. So poor Bermuda will have to keep an eye on that, and then back out into the open Atlantic. So impacts wise, still expected for our friends on the East Coast, but trending a lot better. Here's probabilistic tropical storm force winds. This is a product put out by the National Hurricane Center. You can see the very eastern edge of Florida is in that probability. Now that's about 5 to 10% of seeing tropical storm force winds. So certainly our friends in Florida will get some gusty winds early this weekend. On top of that, another concern is rainfall potential. So this is through the next 7 days. The Weather Prediction Center is showing that some pretty high rainfall amounts, but just offshore mainly, but also portions of Florida could also see some pretty good rain amounts with that as well as that system continues to strengthen. But I think the biggest impact is going to be dangerous rip and surf conditions for our friends on the East Coast, especially beginning early this week and into the middle of the week. Really won't let up until the storms both turn off to the north and east, when those conditions will start to settle down. So much better trend in the forecast, but impacts are still expected for places on the East Coast. For us here back at home, we've got a pretty decent work week ahead. Now, yes, it is warm for September, almost October, but at least we've got a few dry days ahead and only minimal rain chances by the end of the work week. Really, our friends on the coast are going to get the best chances for rain with that stalled frontal boundary and pattern change by the end of the work week. Jeff Morrow will have more details on what to expect the rest of the day, and of course the latest in the tropics all for you on WAFB 9 News at noon.